Hey, what's up? It's me, Awesome Alley.
And I'm Raisa, and welcome back to another episode of Be in the Conversation series. We just released our new book, Be in the Conversation, and we want you to meet our authors. So today we're going to be talking about holistic mental health and what that means for you. So introducing our author, Mary Long.
Woo! Hey, everyone.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, you guys. I'm really glad to be here. I'm happy to see you. How are you?
Oh, we're doing great. Thank you for joining us.
Enjoying the nice, lovely weather out here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Mary, as we're going to start it off, we always start it off with any show, and that is, who are you and what do you do?
Sure. So my name's Mary Long, and I am a natural and holistic health practitioner. I'm an integrative medicine doctoral student up in Toronto, where you guys are based. I'm a holistic teacher, holistic natural medicine provider. So what does that mean? It means I do things like I teach yoga, I practice energy medicine, I work with plant medicines, flower essences, and natural holistic alternatives to what we traditionally see in the Western mental health system with like pharmacology and pharmaceuticals.
Cool. So taking more of a natural, herbalistic approach rather than popping a pill to remove your anxiety or something, right?
Exactly, Allie. That's correct.
Perfect. I love it. And even before we get more into the questions, I see a few viewers right now. Make sure that you share this video, you like, comment, and ask questions so that you can be in the conversation with us, hence our book, and you'll be able to know where it's going to be. Oh, we have a comment right away. Yes. Latifa says, hi.
Hello,
hi,
Latifa.
Awesome.
All right, Mary. So continuing down the line of, about being in the conversation, in 3 sentences or less, could you tell us what your chapter is about?
Sure. So this book is called Be in the Conversation, and we've got a dozen different authors, most of whom are coming from university or high school. And I wanted to add in a different perspective that broadened the mind and sort of transcended cultures a little bit. I wanted to broaden the perspective and talk about a more holistic view of natural health and natural medicine. So I'm a doctoral student and in training for Doctors Without Borders. So that means that I'm being trained to do medicine and be practicing in 25 different countries. Wow. So that is a much broader perspective than just how the USA or Canada does things. So I really wanted to open up the mind a little bit and share this kind of worldview that I have. So my chapter, I bring in my background, which is really, I'm a yoga teacher, and so I have a pretty extensive yoga teaching background. I bring in that sort of perspective, and here's what I talk about. So I brought into this conversation this idea that there's something called the gut microbiome, that what you eat, what lands in your stomach and goes into your intestines and your digestive tract actually affects your mental health and your mood regulation significantly. So I bring up this idea that the diet matters, and then giving this all-around point of view of it's not just the food that you're consuming, it's not just your sleep and your exercise, it's also who are you socializing with, what are you doing all day, where are you hanging out, how are your finances, and how are you really taking charge of your life. So there's this sort of personal responsibility aspect of it. And then I teach a breathing exercise where I lead folks into their inner space by focusing on the breath, going inwards and beginning to explore the body and the inner space, get them talking to their internal organs, to their body, listening to what it has to say, and then going a little deeper, taking them inside and saying, all right, so now that you're seated deeply in your body and you're listening to what your body has to say, how are you talking to yourself? And then when you begin to look at the conversation that you're having with, like, are you an inner critic? Do you have an inner critic where you nitpick and you go, oh, I don't like this thing on my face, and man, my hair looks so bad, all these things. If you talk really negatively to yourself, that's going to affect your health, your mood, and your mind. And it also affects, because this is called Be in the Conversation, it also affects how we interact and engage with others, which of course contributes to social health and society as a whole. So this is the perspective that I'm bringing. So we look at the inner voice and then we see how that affects and relates with others. So I bring people through this whole circuit of, let's get a full scope picture of your health from a holistic point of view. Here's a couple natural resources that you can do and implement right now for free to get started. That's what my chapter is about.
I love it. Let's actually talk about those natural resources. And then can you actually tell us how our gut biome affects our social health and the way we interact with? I think that was a pretty interesting point.
Yeah, your gut health, your microbiome, right? It's also known as the second brain. And that's something that's now coming to light, right? Over the last like 40 years, right? Everyone always focused on, the foods that you eat, not really understanding, how that affects you. And over like just the last bit, we've really started to come into more mainstream now about, okay, your gut health actually matters. It's the bacteria down there, right? So we definitely want to go deeper into that. So can you explain how your gut health, what it is and how it works?
Sure. So your body, your body's like a machine, right? It's sort of like having a car. If you put gas in the tank and you put oil and you're changing your fluids regularly, you're changing the tires and you're taking care of the maintenance that needs to do for your car, it's going to run well and probably last you a very long time. It's the same with your body. So what you put in your body, namely the food that you're eating, the water or the chemicals, the things that you're drinking, the medications that you are or are not taking, alcohol, cigarettes, nicotine, drugs, Starbucks coffee, whatever you're putting into your machine here, whatever you're putting into that body, that is the fuel that's making your body run. Like the stuff that you eat literally becomes your blood. It becomes the liquids inside of your body. You are what you eat. So if you are building your body out of good quality, ideally whole foods that are organic and very deeply nutritious, that are grown in healthy soil and properly cultivated, you will have the best fuel put into your body and you will be able to build the most healthy body as a result. So that's sort of the ideal scenario in terms of eating. Like, you are what you eat. Like quite literally, you're gonna take in that food and you're gonna break it down and you're gonna turn it into a cell, whether that's muscle, fat, bone, blood. You are what you eat. So it's really important to understand that what you're putting into your body really does matter. And so how does it relate to emotional health? How does it relate to mental health? What exactly is the gut microbiome? And so the gut, let's start with the gut microbiome and then how does it affect emotional and mental health? So have you guys ever had like one of those terrariums in maybe elementary school or middle school where you like put rocks and dirt in a jar and you like build a little aquarium, or you put like an ecosystem in a jar,
or like where you do like those like fake dioramas where you're just like trying to build the landscape. I wanted to get into that. If you know anybody that does terrariums, let me know.
All right. So your body's kind of like a terrarium is the point I'm trying to make. Your gut, like what goes in your stomach gets broken down through your stomach acid and through bacteria, and then it travels through your intestines. So through the small intestine and then the large intestine, it goes through and they get digested through. That's where your intestines and your organs begin to absorb the nutrition from the food that your body has broken down into the tiny little bits. So it gets absorbed through layers and through a process. Like we're just talking about the digestive tract. Goes into your stomach and then through your intestines, and then what's left over goes out into the commode. So that is the waste that gets flushed out. So the gut microbiome is it's like the dirt, or it can be the undigested poop that's in your intestines, quite frankly. It can be it's the bacteria that is inside of your stomach and your gut. It's the mucus and the way that the membranes are intact or not intact there. And so when we talk about gut microbiome, we're talking about sort of that terrarium. It's like the whole thing, like we're looking at your stomach, your intestines, like the whole thing as a system. And then what's its state of health? So do you have the right dirt, so to speak? So do you have the right mucous membranes? Do you have the right bacteria? Do you have the, are your skin cells intact? And are you processing things very cleanly and well? So like when you eat the food, does it digest fairly quickly? Are you going to the bathroom several times a day and actually releasing? Or are you in a more negative state of health where you're constipated and bloated and you have a big fat stomach and you feel puffy? And these types of things, that would indicate you not having the appropriate bacteria, or maybe you even have a blockage where there's stuff in your body that is not breaking down and it's just sitting there and effectively rotting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is kind of gross, but keeping it simple is like, if you walk up to rotten food, like, do you want to eat that? No, that's really bad. That's if you're not breaking down the stuff that's in your body, it just sits there and gets undigested. And that's what turns into things like cancer, colon cancer, or these other types of problems. So that's what we're talking about with the gut microbiome.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that was like a wonderful explanation as well. And I just wanted to, I have a question for you. So even though we're trying to clean out our gut microbiome and, you know, trying to eat it with like healthy foods, not every food is going to be suited for everybody because everyone's different. So where do you draw the line between completely healthy eating and just enjoying what you eat? Like, do you do it in moderation? Do you do it all the time? What are some of your guideline and tips on that?
Sure. So how to navigate the nutritional conversation, basically. So I do not think that there is one size fits all in a diet. No way. So I'm not going to say that some foods are exclusively healthy or some things aren't, with, you know, a few general exceptions. Like you shouldn't be eating super ultra processed foods that are loaded with sodium and very little nutrition, or toxic food dyes. Like that sort of thing is a general category. Let's all stay away from, please. But we're all human and we're all in human bodies. But where I draw the line and where the things start to get a little different is when you look at things like genetics, pre-existing health conditions, health goals. Like maybe somebody wants to gain a bunch of weight because they haven't been digesting well, or they maybe even had a parasite or like a tapeworm, or maybe someone is trying to lose a lot of weight because they've been eating poorly for a long period of time and now they're diabetic and overweight. So it depends on the current state of health, where they are and where they want to go. So that would hugely impact the types of foods and nutrition, as well as the exercise and sleep that they require. But things that we all, you know, have in common are we all require protein, we all require fat, we all require carbohydrates in a little bit of differing amounts depending on age and sex and activity level, your output, you know. So someone who's doing a lot of physical lifting in a day requires more food and more protein because they're spending more energy. So there's some things like that. Hey guys.
Hi.
No.
Hey everyone.
Mary also says hi on Instagram.
So to understand kind of what Mary was just saying, if you're now joining, we're talking about the gut health and how that can affect your mood, your mood mentally, physically, how you interact with people, your overall system of how you function in a day-to-day life. And what you was just saying, when it comes to diet and microbiomes, it varies between people depending if they're trying to lose weight, gain weight. You know, if they're an athlete or an average British trying to lose the belly, right? It all depends. But to keep it general, always get a balanced diet of protein, carbohydrates, and good fats, right? Because there's definitely processed fats trans fats that we don't want to be taking in that much. And you can also give yourself those cheat days, right? Where you can just say, you know what, let me eat here. But as long as you're having on a consistent basis a healthy, well-rounded diet, that's what is up.
Yes, and even before we move forward, for those who are joining, this is all in your book where you go more in depth, but you also take a more meditative practice, what we're going to get into. So if you are interested, you can also pre-order Mary's book and our book.
The Be in the Conversation book, where Mary's chapter is located. It is currently on Amazon, where you can pre-order it for $2.49 or $1.99 USD. The link will be in the caption, or you can go to Amazon right now and type in Be in the Conversation, Rethinking Humanity's Biggest Questions.
Yeah, we'll just kind of leave it up there. If you want to take a screenshot, even just typing it into Amazon, like Ali said, you will find it. Every pre-order helps us to become a bestseller. So if you want
help
to
us get our goals right there. And also, Be in the Conversation is about having respectful dialogue where we take our authors and the readers on a journey where they can have that respectful dialogue to talk about, conversational issues that that need to be talked about, that we might not feel comfortable with. So that's why we are interviewing Mary today, so she can expand on it. So moving on.
Sorry. We all love APSA. Woohoo!
Thank you. So moving on, Mary, you are also a yoga teacher. Can you tell us, how you got into that and how that helps you, along with a tip someone who can implement with?
Sure. So how did I become a yoga teacher? Why am I involved with that? I feel like yoga found me when I needed it, and it was there for me through all of these different life stages and changes, and it still is with me every day. Yoga, I initially got into yoga as a form of physical fitness, where I was in the state where I was trying to take better care of my body. I was a freshman in college. I was beginning to learn about nutrition. I'd actually experienced an injury. I never told you guys about this, but my diet when I was a freshman in college, going to the cafeteria and being a freshman, I was consuming so much dairy, so much milk. I ate a lot of cereal and I ate a lot of grilled cheese because those were my favorite foods. And I ate them all the time because we didn't have a kitchen in the dorm room. So what could I have as milk and cereal or grilled cheese, packed. So we had just like a thing. Yeah. So it was like really simple. And I was consuming so much calcium that, did you know that in the body, calcium needs magnesium? Like those are two elements, right? Like they're minerals. So calcium, magnesium. When you have too much calcium in the body, it begins to degrade some of the tissues. You can get little deposits of things. And long story short, what ended up happening is that I tore both of my ACLs, which is a ligament in the knee. It's extremely painful. I couldn't walk properly. I couldn't drive a car. I ended up becoming a motorcyclist, and I joined a biker community because, seriously, I became a motorcyclist because I couldn't drive a car because I tore my ACLs and I couldn't really walk properly. And you only need you rev the gas with the hands. So true story how I became a motorcyclist. So that's a side note, but honestly, so my nutrition was pretty out of whack when I was a freshman in college, and I was experiencing some negative ramifications of that. So I'd put on a little bit of weight, not very much, but put on some, and I had physical pain from the imbalances in my body. And so I had to begin to take control over the things that I was eating and begin to rectify that. So I started, I'd grown up knowing how to cook, so cooking wasn't an issue. I was very comfortable in the kitchen. I'd worked in many restaurants, even in high school. But I didn't know how to really eat well, and I didn't have any control over that. So when I began to take control of my nutrition in order to affect a particular physical change, namely heal the injuries that I had, as well as get my body back into better shape, I took yoga as a physical complement to that. So I couldn't ride a bicycle and work out really heavy at the gym. I couldn't dance around a lot. Like I said, I couldn't even drive a car because my knee the ligament was torn. So I couldn't even press the gas. I was in so much pain. So I took yoga because it was gentle. and there are gentle yoga classes. There are also more intense yoga classes, but I took gentle yoga, which gave me the opportunity to work through some of that physical pain and begin to slow down and get really in tune and in touch with my body. So I began to listen to the pain, and I began to talk to my body and ask intuitively what it needs. So this is expanding on the question that you asked me a moment ago, like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
And so having a well-rounded diet is generally pretty sensible advice, but you may also, when you pay attention to your body, you sit down and you breathe, you go into your meditation and you listen and you just ask, hey body, what do you need? Like, oh, my stomach hurts. Hey stomach, what do you need? Oh, my leg hurts. Hey leg, what do you need? Ask your body. And so I began to do this in my yoga practice. And so it helped me not just with the physical fitness level, but also tuning in and figuring out, who am I and what do I really require? So it gave me not just a physical fitness. It wasn't just like a workout class. It gave me not just a physical aspect, but it gave me the mental aspect, and it gave me a lot of peace, and it gave me the ability to know what I needed. It really helped me improve my intuition. So
I love it.
That's how I got started.
No,
Wow, that's amazing. And we're coming around near the end of the interview, but we have two more questions for you. Three more questions for you.
We're gonna just take a little break and have a little fun with this speed round.
Yes. So we're gonna ask you. We're gonna ask you a few questions. I want your initial reaction. Tell us, right off the bat. I'm gonna give you two options. You give us your initial reactions. Are you ready?
Yep.
Audience, join along. Tell us which one you guys prefer. So, coffee or tea?
I like coffee.
Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook.
Breakfast or dinner?
I like dinner. I usually don't eat much breakfast.
Oh, interesting. Nikes or Adidas?
I like Adidas.
Okay.
Apple or Samsung?
For a telephone or for a computer?
Yeah.
For a telephone, I would choose Apple.
Apple, and then what would you say for computer then?
Computer, I'd either build my own, or I'm on an Apple right now. I do like Apple computers.
I love that.
Not for everything, because I'm a gamer too, and I have a PC that I built.
Yeah, definitely. Gas or electric vehicles?
It depends on the circumstance, but I love electric cars.
All right. Health or computer science?
Oh, these are tough questions, Ali. I would choose computer science.
Okay, and then the last one is fast food or home cooked meals?
Home cooked meal, 100%. Except Chick-fil-A. You could always bring me some Chick-fil-A and I'll be very happy about it, but you can't eat that every day.
Mary's like, if you want to bring me some, I'm not going to turn it down.
I grew up in the South. I love Chick-fil-A and fried chicken and waffle fries. There's just something magic about it. And then you get your sweet tea or your lemonade, and that is not something that I will be consuming very often, but it is absolutely delicious.
Oh my God, you're making me want some right now. I'm like, oh wow,
it's so good.
It is my mission to go to the Chick-fil-A's when we go to the States. It's like, you gotta get at least the breakfast. We gotta get those. My favorite, one of my favorite fast food chains in the States is definitely Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
right.
As we're wrapping up, Wahid says stay blessed. Thank you, Wahid. And we will also pray for Taqwa and good health.
Yes, everyone sends prayers out to his daughter.
Yes, sorry for saying your daughter's name incorrectly. So, Mary, what are three ways, just three, that people can start to have a healthier life from the way they eat
and the way they live?
Yes.
Okay, so 3 ways that people can start to have a healthier life from the way that they eat. So first of all, just begin to take note of what you're eating. Just simply keep track of it. Once you have awareness, everything begins to change. So you can keep a daily food log, or if you do like a weekly meal planner, like you might go shopping on the weekend and then create your meal plan for the week on Sunday and create your containers. A lot of people do that. I used to do that. It's a really nice way to get through school or work. but having an awareness and tracking it. So really paying attention to it, rather than, this specifically is to replace the habit of just eating reactively. Like if you're working a lot, maybe you're a really busy entrepreneur, like I know so many of us are, and you tend to eat out or just order food or see what's there, wait till the last minute, think food is just magically going to show up. Well, maybe you're eating in response to your hunger signals, but how accurate is the delivery of the food that you're receiving versus what your body actually requires? So if you're just eating reactively like that, one thing you can immediately do to shift is begin to track what you're eating. So you don't have to change anything yet, just pay attention to what you're doing. And then, you know, monthly or every couple of weeks, you might want to sit and look down and say, okay, what did I consume this month? And you can look at, or what did I consume this week, and say, okay, am I at a certain caloric level? Like, am I eating enough calories? Am I eating too much, too little? Is my weight going up? Am I eating too much? Is my weight going down? Am I eating too little? Am I feeling off, tired, or sluggish? Seeing where you can add in more energizing foods, like more fruits or vegetables, things like this, you can cut out or things. So one big thing, just pay attention and then begin to have a reconciler and accounting about it. Second thing is begin to cook your own food. So take a cooking class, whatever cuisine that you're really into, whether you've got a particular cultural or ethnic background, or you want to learn a new one. I know Race is on a cooking show, or was at one point. So, you know, you can inspire a lot of people there. Yeah. Begin to cook some of your own food. You don't necessarily have to cook every single meal that you ever consume. I'm not saying you can never go out. Of course you can. But when you begin to actually work with fruits and vegetables, when you begin to work with them and you learn how to cook them properly, you're having a whole nother level of conversation with those foods, and you're preparing them. You're putting your time, care, love, energy, intentions, maybe even prayers if you're spiritual about it. You put that love and care into your food, and then that goes into your body. So those effects compound really heavily. And along with that, drinking a whole lot more water. So when you cook your own food and you put in clean water, that really helps. Third thing I will say is drink water. So watch your water intake, watch your liquid intake. Are you drinking mostly coffee, tea, sugary fruit juices, and Monster energy drinks, and Starbucks, and Frappuccinos, and Timmy Tom's or Tim Hortons, and all the things? You know, what are you drinking, and how is your hydration level? Because so much of hunger, a lot of people misinterpret when they're not really tuned into their body. They will misinterpret and think that their body is hungry and wants more food, and they'll eat, when actually the body is thirsty and the body is dehydrated and it needs more liquids and it needs to process the waste through the gut. So some people are just walking around really dehydrated, drinking 6 cups of coffee a day, and they're not taking well of that. So those are 3 things you do. Just keep track of your food, start to cook, and drink more water.
Wow, I'm super happy that you mentioned drink more water. On your point, like, if you're drinking 6 cups of coffee a day, you should be going to the washroom like crazy. Like, I know personally, I have like a cup, bam, I'm in the washroom for a second, right? But definitely, with the water, right, that is extremely important. I'm super glad that you said that, because, like you said, sometimes when we think we're hungry, right, it's just that we're dehydrated. And definitely in our Western culture, instead of turning to water, we now turn to more pop or sugary juices, right? And for anyone who's watching this, fruit juices are the biggest lies that you will see. They do not provide the amount of nutrients that you think they would, as if you're preparing to squeeze it or do it yourself. It's just more processed and refined sugars inside of it. So stick to the water or freshly squeeze your own juices. Makes more time, but you'll get the better benefits out of that.
I love it. So as we are wrapping up, last question. Mary, if you could have a billboard anywhere in the world, where would it be, and what would it say?
Oh my gosh. If I had a billboard anywhere in the entire world, this one makes me feel so nervous because I don't know that I want my face all over the entire world. I would want it to be. I think I would have a billboard in Canada. I would have my face on it. And I would say something like, your health matters. And I would say that you need to take charge of it today. Like, begin to take charge of your health today. So I think I'd have some sort of health-related billboard in Canada that promoted well-being. And also, I guess that promotes me professionally too. But I would want to grow my network in Canada. I really like you guys. I love Canada. I want to come hang out more. I don't think I'm super famous there because I've only been there for a little while. But I love Toronto, and I would like to be there or like come and visit and maybe do business there for a long time, And so I'd want to have something that was positively impacting the community. Like, I'd want to put up my message that improves it. So it's kind of hard to imagine my face on a billboard. That's a little bit terrifying.
Billboard in Canada.
But I would tell you that your health matters and that you need to be the one to take charge of it. The essence of the message would be that it's not the doctor who's responsible for your health. It's you. So you are your first line of defense. It's actually you that puts the food in your mouth, that chooses to drink the water or the soda pop or the alcohol. It's you that chooses whether or not to smoke. It's you that chooses whether or not to get up and go to the gym. It's you who chooses who your friends, your sexual partners are. It's you who's in control of all of those things. And so you can't just blame a doctor when something goes wrong. And you also can't just fall into their arms when there is a crisis or you need some sort of medical miracle. You're the first line of defense. So I would put up some sort of preventative message that's like, your health matters and you need to be the one to take charge.
It's not taking that reaction, like you said, going to the doctor when it's too late, taking that, first step of prevention. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah. Because I think people too often wait until it's too late to do anything, and they wait until it's too late to take charge. And maybe they're uneducated or misinformed, or they think that it's someone else's jobs, but doctors can only do so much, and we're limited in the ways that we can even legally practice and things of that nature. So you have to step up and play in that game. We can't help anybody who doesn't want to help themselves. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Mary.
I think you described it so well. So we'll just kind of show you for our guests one more time where you can find the book. Mary, you have done such a great job at explaining a lot of great things for us today, because I think it's not even about just the mental health piece, like you said. It's about the gut biome itself. And I know, like, even talking about health can be, like, for me, it's very confusing. I always want to be like, yes, I know what's happening with the red and the white blood cells and the intestine, and I can never get it right. So I think your explanation today was really great. Thank you to our viewers who have been watching, and thank you for all the comments and the likes. We will see you again on another episode of the Be in the Conversation series. This was presented by APSO.
Awesome people.
Shaping our world.
Remember, you are awesome.
And you can make the world a better place. Bye.